questions about whether you are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
President Trump moments ago on the South Lawn at the White House, surrounded by a phalanx of great American construction personnel who had just installed the new giant flagpoles where the giant American flags will fly. Something that Joe Biden never would have done and Barack Obama never would have done. And then, of course, he saw it as an opportunity to hold another press conference, which he does, if not every day, then practically every day. I think Joe Biden held about 3 press conferences in his entire failed presidency. President Trump, practically every day, he exhausts the news media by answering all of their questions and occasionally mocking them and making fun of them, as the president just did there, and rightly so. Hey, it's like a Saturday Night Live skit from long ago. Can you tell us when you're going to start bombing Iran and what your targets will be? What planes will you use? At what altitude will they be flying at? From what direction will they be entering Iranian airspace? Because we of CNN and the New York Times, we're acting as agents for the Ayatollahs. And remarkable things going on. Well, a very, very good Wednesday to you, and welcome back once again. We remain at 888-630-9625, and a lot of back and forth between. Well, it's all the talk, of course, in Washington and beyond. Will President Trump enter the fray, the war between Israel and Iran? It seems that Iran has, they're taking shots at President Trump taking some shots back. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has apparently, reportedly, talked to President Trump about dropping some gigantic buster bunker bombs on an Iranian nuclear facility known as Fordo. And it can be spelled a couple of different ways, F-O-R-D-O, like a Ford automobile with an O on the end, or F-O-R-D-O-W. The Jerusalem Post goes with F-O-R-D-O-W, and the Associated Press with F-O-R-D-O. So your guess is as good as mine. But this is a Democrat, a Democrat-allowed nuclear facility deep underground, several hundred feet underground, with rock formations between the surface and the underground nuclear facility. If you saw the Tom Cruise movie, Top Gun Maverick, it was about taking out basically this facility. The filmmakers obviously got a briefing on Iran's underground nuclear facilities and on the fact that they still fly F-14 Tomcats all these decades later, too. Both elements in that movie, Top Fun, which again, my best girl and I saw at the IMAX theater at the Udvar Hazy Air and Space Museum Annex at the Dulles International Airport. And what great flying scenes, what incredible flying scenes, especially for IMAX. Wonderful stuff. F-18 jets, wonderful, wonderful. But that's not important now. That's just a motion picture. The people out of this story is interestingly out of Bangkok for the Associated Press. What to know about bunker buster bombs and Iran's Fordo nuclear facility. And I say, if the U.S. decides to support Israel more directly in its attack on Iran, one option for Washington would be to provide the bunker buster bombs believed necessary to significantly damage the Fordo nuclear fuel enrichment plant, built deeply into a mountain. And with the permission of Barack Hussein Obama and John Boltneck Kerry, because they're not on our side, and the deal called the Joint Comprehensive Peace of Beep, the JCPOS. Such a bomb would have to be dropped from an American aircraft, which would have wide-ranging ramifications, including jeopardizing any chance of Iran engaging in Trump's desired talks, right, on its nuclear program. Israeli officials have also suggested that there are other options for it to attack Fordo in central Iran as it seeks to destroy the country's nuclear capabilities that were allowed by Barack Hussein Obama and John Bolton Kerry under the JCPOA. But aside from a commando attack on the ground or a nuclear strike, and neither one of those seems to be in the cards, I would say, the bunker buster bomb seems the most likely option. Now, the bunker buster is a broad term used to describe bombs that are designed to penetrate deep below the surface before exploding. You know, we have extraordinary capabilities when it comes to the bombs that we're able to make, and maybe we'll get into that a bit. But the Associated Press saying in this case, with the bunker buster for Fordo, it refers to the latest GBU-57AB. Now, GBU is a guided bomb unit, and we have GBU-27, GBU-29, and GBU-31, 2,000-pound bombs. But the GBU, guided bomb unit 57, is a massive ordnance penetrator bomb. It's designed to hit rock and whatever you want it to be designed to hit. Listen to this. It is a 30,000-pound precision-guided munition designed to attack deeply buried and hardened bunkers and tunnels, according to the U.S. Air Force. And I promise you that these 30,000-pound versions were designed specifically for these Iranian facilities. I can assure you that that is the case. And again, we have 2,000-pound bombs that are penetrators and GBUs, and 1,000-pound bombs that are penetrators. And sometimes you hit one, and then you got a second immediate follow-on or a delay and a second follow-on, depending on the targets. And we make bombs. For example, if the Iranians had a building and it was 12 stories high with steel reinforced concrete, and in the basement the Ayatollah had his bunker, and we decided we wanted to kill the Ayatollah, we could drop a bomb from 40,000 feet, a guided bomb unit, GPS guided, that would go in and hit the air conditioner on the roof of that 12-story building. And it starts punching through the floors of that building, and it would count the number of floors that it's punching through, 12, 11, 10, 9, and it would count until it got to the basement, and then it would explode. That's how advanced our munitions are. They're very, very fancy, clever, smart bombs. And we make them at an Air Force base in Florida as a rule, and they're quite cool. But in any case, the 30,000-pound precision-guided bomb designed to attack deeply buried, hardened bunkers and tunnels. According to the U.S. Air Force, it is believed to be able to penetrate about 200 feet below the surface before exploding. And the bombs can be dropped one after another, effectively drilling deeper and deeper with each successive blast. And a B-2 stealth bomber can carry, I believe, two of these. I'm a little out of the action these days, but that can carry two of these. And if you have two B-2 bombers, one in front of the other, not side by side, but coming in one after another, give the first explosions a chance to settle a little bit before you hit it a second time. The bomb carries a conventional warhead, but the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, confirmed that Iran is producing highly enriched uranium, used to be high-enriched uranium, at Fordo, raising the possibility that nuclear material could be released into the air, if GBU-57 were to be used to hit the facility. However, Israeli airstrikes at another Iranian nuclear site, Natanz, a well-known, probably a more well-known site, on a centrifuge site where they're enriching uranium that Barack Obama said they could continue to do, knowing that they would use them to build nuclear weapons to bomb the Jews and America. The Democrats under Barack Obama said that would be okay. It should not have been okay. It was the worst nuclear deal in the history of the world, and that's because Barack Obama is not on our side and never has been. So they hit the site at Natanz on a centrifuge site that caused contamination only at the site itself, not the surrounding area, the IAEA has said. But this is an extraordinary situation that we have in front of us. Now, Fordo is Iran's second nuclear enrichment facility after Natanz, both allowed by Barack Obama and Bolton Kerry as they continued to advance their ballistic missile program so they could kill everybody with nuclear weapons. And the Democrats shrugged and said, yeah, that's okay. We'll pretend it's a victory for us. We'll lie, and then the New York Times will lie with us, and CNN will lie for us. So Fordo, the second enrichment facility after Natanz, its main facility at Natanz, it's already been targeted by Israeli airstrikes. The IAEA said on Tuesday, that's yesterday, it believes that the strikes have had direct impacts on the facility's underground centrifuge halls. Why do they have centrifuge halls? Are they very interested in nuclear medicine? Is that what's going on here? You bunch of idiot Democrats. Fordo, the facility, is smaller than Natanz. It's built into the side of a mountain, like in the Top Gun movie, near the city of Qom. Qom, that's Qom, Qom, about 60 miles southwest of Tehran. I said Tehran and clear my throat at the same time. Construction is believed to have been started around 2006. That's 19 years ago, maybe 20 years ago if it's 2005. Became operational in 2009, the same year that Tehran publicly acknowledged its existence. In addition to being estimated to be 260 feet under rock and soil, the site is also reportedly protected by Iranian and Russian surface-to-air missile systems. Those air defenses, however, likely have already been struck by the Israeli campaign. President Trump has said that we now own Iranian airspace. We just own the airspace, and that they cannot defend themselves anymore. President Trump has said, and the Israelis have as good as said, that we know exactly where the Ayatollah is, and we could put the zap on him anytime. Now, President Trump was asked a short time ago at the White House, are you going to negotiate with Iran? And President Trump said, it's very late for negotiations from Iran. Said there's a big difference between now and a week. Oh, you're looking at me because I can tell.
Have the Iranians reached out to you?
Yes.
And what did you say?
I said it's very late. You know? I said it's very late to be talking. We may meet. It's I don't know. There's a big difference between now and a week ago, right? Big difference.
Big difference between now and a week ago, and that's true because of the bombing, the war between Israel and Iran. And President Trump, again, holding his daily press conference. He's held more press conferences in single weeks than Joe Biden held for his entire presidency.
They even suggested they come to the White House. It's a big difference. But they've suggested that they come to the White House.
And then blow up.
That's, courageous, but, it's like not easy for them to do. But they suggest, because I can't go now because of what's going on.
Can't go now because of what's going on with the war and everything. There's a lot more, and then I look forward to getting to the Senator Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson exchange on this as well. From handcrafted steaks to family grilling favorites, Omaha Steaks, 5-generation family business, delivers the world's best steak experience for all your 4th of July grilling plans. And right now, during their 4th of July sale, you can save 50%, the entire website at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because we hang out together, you get an extra $45 off with the promo code PLANT at checkout. That's my last name. Growing up in Chicago, I used to look at my neighbors getting their Omaha steaks delivered, and I said, man, I wish we had Omaha. I never got them done. But now I get Omaha steaks delivered to my house, and man, we love them. We love the whole package. We were eating last night Omaha steak stuff. There is nothing quite like the all-American feeling of the 4th of July and the cookout that comes with it. The fan favorite filet mignon has earned the coveted distinction of USDA certified tender, and their all-new smash burgers are just built for your grill. Delicious. They also carry mouth-watering chicken and pork and seafood and delectable desserts and all kinds of great stuff. Get fired up for the 4th of July with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off the entire website. Their 4th of July sale, plus another $45 off at checkout with the promo code PLANT, because we are friends. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com, an extra $45 off with the promo code PLANT at checkout. Check out the website for details. There it is. All right, a lot coming up on this topic because it's kind of a big deal. War, Iran, nuclear weapons. You know, coming up. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Another big disappointment for the Democratic Party, who love child genital mutilation, because the United States Supreme Court, in a 6-3 ruling, that is to say 3 left-wing radical judges all voted that you should be able to genitally mutilate children for sexual purposes, because the Democrat Party is very unwell, very, very unwell. But the 6-3, and Michael appears going to go, 6-3 ruling, but it's not the predictable 6-3 ruling, right? No, it is. It's the predictable 6-3 ruling. And the 6 justices of the United States Supreme Court, they all ruled together against the objection, over the objection of 3 left-wing lunatics. And I still think Ketanji Brown Jackson, who doesn't know what a woman is, that she should have to recuse herself in cases involving gender, since she doesn't know what gender is, right? Isn't that true? Doesn't that seem fair? But kind of a big deal. Breaking news, a major defeat for trans rights, the Huffington Post writes. The Supreme Court upheld Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for minors. It's just minors again. It's just for children. They're not coal miners. They're underage. And the Democrats, all 3 Democrat nominees, they all had meat cleavers in their hands.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No, I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
Yes, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Democrat nominee to the United States Supreme Court, should be required to recuse herself from any business before the Supreme Court having to do with gender, since she does not recognize the biological realities of gender, the science of gender, but never mind that. She did not recuse herself. And Elena Kagan, a little left-wing cartoon character, and Sonia Sotomayor, who is the spitting image of Jake LaMotta late in his career. If you look at their photos side by side, it could confuse facial recognition programming. And then Ketanji Brown Jackson, who we're just listening to there. Joe Biden's pick, doesn't know what a woman is, should be required to recuse herself. Can I call her her? Can I call Ketanji Brown Jackson her and she? I don't know what her pronouns are. Also, did you see that yesterday she got a $2 million advance for a book that she has not written, because it's good to be a Democrat, and the New York publishing houses run by Democrats say, well, let's give her $2 million. No, not $2 billion, only $2 million, but $2 million as an advance for a book that she has not written yet. It is good to be a Democrat, isn't it? Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan, left-wing radical extremists. I wonder if the other two know what a woman is. But the story is a big one, a 6-3 verdict by the Supreme Court, a 6-3 decision by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court on Wednesday upheld Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors, only for children. These are people that we call children. You're not old enough to rent a car. You're not old enough in some states to go to a tanning salon until you're 18 years old. Most places, I believe, you're not allowed to get a tattoo until you're 18 years old. But the Democrats want to harvest your genitals and put them in a mayonnaise jar and leave them on Funkin' Wagnall's front porch starting at noon today. The Democrats, the justices' 6-3 decision in a case from Tennessee effectively, protects from legal challenges many efforts by President Donald Trump's Republican administration and state governments to roll back protections for transgender people. No, only 18, if you're 18 years old, you can chop off your genitals all you want. You can throw it into a bonfire in the middle of a Tesla fire in an intersection in Los Angeles, as Democrats are so fond of doing. But listen to this. Another 26 states, in addition to Tennessee, also have laws similar to the one on the books in Tennessee. And the Democrats are going around challenging. They'll challenge in every state because they've got child sexual obsessions. And they're demented child genital mutilation obsessions because the Democrat Party has a lot of sexual issues and gender issues, particularly having to do with children and first graders and kindergartners getting transgender. What do they teach them? Twerking for kindergarten. Transgender guys pretending to be women, twerking for kindergarten and first grade because the Democrats want to get them early. You know what their favorite college is? Brigham Young. Brigham Young? Yeah, Brigham Young. That was they got that from Michael Jackson, I think, and Neverland. They got the Brigham Young thing. So the decision comes amid a range of other federal and state efforts to regulate the lives of transgender people. No, including which sports competitions they can join. Boy, this is an incredibly corrupt media story here. This person should be fired. It's the Associated Press, Mark Sherman of the Associated Press. He's leaving a lot of words out that would appropriately be included if he were a legitimate journalist. But he's not. He's a left-wing. He might be a transgender. He might be a gender mutilator. Just amazing, these people. Yeah, so here's these outrageous rules. The lives, it's not to regulate the lives of transgender people, just children who are not allowed to make all kinds of decisions for themselves until they're 18. But the Democrats, they show up with meat cleavers and vacuum cleaners. Why vacuum cleaners? That's kind of weird, don't you think? So to regulate the lives of transgender people, including which sport competitions they can join. You mean whether they can cheat like East Germans during the Cold War at the Olympics. You people are demented. And which bathrooms they can use. They always minimize it by saying bathrooms, but really it's about locker rooms and shower rooms for your 13-year-old daughter. And they want men to go in there. So, hey, who brought the towel rack? Well, that's not a towel rack. Oh, get me out of here. Unbelievable. These people, which bathrooms they can use. In April, President Donald Trump's administration sued Maine for not complying with the government's push to ban transgender athletes in girls' sports. That's Title IX stuff going back decades, generations. And you guys are demented, can I just say? The Republican president also has sought to block federal spending on gender-affirming medical care for those under the age of 19. And when you're 18, maybe you should have a little time to think about it because it's your genitals, it's your life, it's your future, it's your family tree. Go ahead and climb your family tree and stay there for a while. Instead, promoting talk therapy only to treat young transgender people. You mean they might need to have a little talking to before you start filling them with steroids and chopping their genitals off? What do you think? But the Democrats are so demented. In addition, the Supreme Court has allowed him, meaning Trump, to kick transgender service members out of the military. Well, they're not going to be deployable if they're in the midst of their and also the Democrats say, join the military and we'll pay for all of your mental illnesses and all the treatments and your genital mutilation. We'll pay, the taxpayers will pay for all of that because the Democrat Party wants the U.S. military to be part of a musical theater troupe. You know? One singular sensation every time I cut myself. The just amazing stuff. The Democrat Party. That's how one way to hollow out the military, to gut the military, to make the military ineffective. So the Supreme Court said, yeah, you can kick trannies out of the military because and it's not why we have a military. Even as the court battles continue, says the Associated Press. The president also signed another order to define the sexes as only male and female. Oh, my God. You mean like science? You mean like biology? You mean what every culture has known since dirt was new? Since long before the Romans built an aqueduct? Everybody's known this, and everybody knows it today. But this insane death cult that is the Democrat Party, just amazing. So you can't get a tattoo because you're not old enough. You can't rent a car because you're not old enough. You can't go to a tanning salon because you're not at the age of majority where you can make smart decisions for yourself. But when Democrats come along and grab you by the genitals and drag you into the girls' room when you're a boy and they bring a little, is it a chainsaw or just like a trimmer? What kind of a tool do they use? Amazing stuff. That is, and they're very angry at the Associated Press. So 6-3 ruling on the side of science, on the side of biology, on the side of culture, on the side of civilization, and the Democrats are furious about it. There may be fires burning today. You know, I think the first Democrat to self-immolate was the guy that self-immolated at the Supreme Court on Earth Day, 3 years ago now? And he burned himself to death because he didn't like the idea that people were putting smoke into the air. Huh? Yeah, I know. Yeah. They're not smart. They're crazy. And they're in charge of the Democrat Party and a lot of states in the United States of America. Isn't that amazing? All right, now back to the biggest news of the day, which is bomb Iran or not. Little Beach Boys, little John McCain, Brian Wilson and the two dead people. We got John McCain and Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys, bomb Iran.
That old Beach Boys song, Bomb Iran. Bomb. Anyway.
All right, now let me get back to President Trump on the south lawn of the White House just a short time ago on the question of Iran and whether the United States of America will engage in military aggression against Iran, and in particular their underground nuclear facility that Barack Obama allowed them to maintain at a place called Fordow.
They had bad intentions. For 40 years they've been saying death to America, death to Israel, death to anybody else that they didn't like.
That's true.
They were bullies. They were schoolyard bullies. And now they're not bullies anymore, but we'll see what happens. Look, nothing's finished until it's finished. War is very complex. A lot of bad things can happen. A lot of turns are made. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that we won anything yet. I would say that we sure as hell made a lot of progress.
Sure as hell made a lot of progress. President Trump at the White House just minutes ago, really, and of course, after talking about the new flagpoles, giant flagpoles for the giant American flags and the front and the back of the White House, the north lawn and the south lawn of the White House. Then the questions naturally turned to the rumors that were flying all over Washington yesterday that President Trump was going to bomb the Fordo nuclear facility in Iran last night after it got dark, of course, and it did not happen. But the Israelis will tell you that this entire mission of theirs, it will not be a success if Fordo is not taken out, and that Israel will have a lot of trouble for, mechanical reasons. They don't have the bombs with the weight to punch through 300 feet of rock and dirt to get to the underground. Gee, why would, if they're just interested in medical research, why would they build it 300 feet underground? As the Democrats have been lying to us and telling us President Trump.
Is there anybody here that said it would be okay to have a hostile, very, zealots really, but to have a hostile country have a nuclear weapon that could destroy 25 miles, but much more than that, could destroy other nations just by the breeze blowing the dust? That dust blows to other nations and they get decimated. This is just not a threat you can have. And we've been threatened by Iran for many years.
That's true from the very beginning. Well, of this regime, 1979, when the Ayatollahs took over and the Shah of Iran was abandoned by Jimmy Carter and the United States of America, which led to this era, which is still ongoing because of Democrat Party Jimmy Carter weakness and not being, strong. It's peace through strength, war and mayhem through weakness. The Democrats are war and mayhem through weakness. All right, now I want to get to let's go to Tucker Carlson and to Senator Ted Cruz, because this is a big deal. It's soundbite number one. Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz on the question, should Tucker Carlson said, no, we should just let Iran build a nuclear arsenal. It's no business of ours. We'll contain them like we've contained the Soviet Union and China and North Korea. Why would we bomb them and not the rest? And Senator Ted Cruz is like, well, we can't allow radical Islamic jihadi terrorists to have a nuclear arsenal with ever-increasing, ballistic missiles with ever-increasing range.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's
I looked
kind
it
of
up
relevant
last night.
because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because,
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran, so
okay,
actually
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
This is just beginning. And it gets more like that from here. And I want to share this with you in its entirety, this back and forth, which is pretty good stuff. And I've got to say, Tucker Carlson has valid points that he just made there. I'm a big fan of Senator Ted Cruz, very smart man. But I got to say, our Congress, and if we're going to go into a war with Iran, we should have a talk. You know that the big wireless companies, you know who they are, they're pulling one over on all of us. I tell you, it's time to switch to consumer cellular. I switched to consumer cellular. I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide, big wireless coverage, but without the big wireless money, the cost. It's not just about saving money on my bill. It's also about not being used by these giant megacorps, the cell phone companies. Do you even know how much data you use every month? Because most people over the age of 50, for example, use less than 8 gigs of data in a month. But these big wireless companies, they shove you into an unlimited plan, very expensive, because they need you to cover the cost of 20-year-olds that are using data 24 hours a day, even though you're not. Consumer Cellular set me up with a service and an incredibly beautiful phone with a great camera. To listen, it's so easy to switch. All you have to do is speak to an actual person on the phone, based right here in the United States of America, not a bot in some space platform. Real human beings who are incredibly helpful. It only takes about 20 minutes to make the switch. So give them a call and make the switch today. You'll save a lot of money. Be happy you did. Call 1-800-760-0702. That's 1-800-760-0702. Yeah, all right. So I've got more on that coming up. It's kind of a big deal, I've got to say. Senator Cruz, Tucker Carlson, coming up. Now, the Democrat Party has turned the state of Minnesota into a loony bin, as you know, and one of their loons is Ilhan Omar, who escaped from Somalia as an 8-year-old. And she hates America and loves the Ayatollahs, and she'd be in favor of dropping nuclear weapons on the United States. She's not with us. She's out there attacking Donald Trump and America while this war is going on between Israel and Iran.
We have a president who has deployed the military who are trained to kill our enemies, not Americans, but our enemies.
The National Guard.
In our streets. It's the same week that we are going to have a military parade. Can you imagine that image that is going to be coming out of our country? I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship.
No, you didn't.
And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that.
Yeah, you left Somalia when you were 8 years old, and your communist, socialist, militaristic father was part of the bad guy group there. Don't lecture me. There ought to be black scorpions crawling over your sun-bleached bones in the windswept sands of Somalia.
To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights.
Stop rioting.
While our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade, it is really shocking.
You're a moron. She should be kicked out of Congress today. She should literally be expelled from Congress. Now, it was the 250th birthday of the United States Army, the greatest army in the history of the world that has liberated and freed hundreds of millions of people around the world. You're welcome, including you and your despicable family, which should have black scorpions crawling over your sun-bleached bones.
A beacon of hope.